Some people love Shakespeare, others not so much. But a Shakespeare adaptation is always a good time. Constellation Theater at 14th and T is featuring a musical called Desperate Measures. It's based off of Shakespeare's play Measure for Measure, but it's set in the Wild West. A gunslinging nun teams up with a sheriff and a saloon dancer to save her brother. Buy tickets now at constellationtheater.org. The show runs through March 17th. Once again, that's constellationtheater.org. Today on CityCast DC, big changes could be coming to part of 14th Street Northwest. Businesses on the 4700 and 4600 blocks of 14th are doing a big push to revitalize this stretch to bring more commercial and residential development. I actually live around there, and honestly, it's not a part of DC that people talk about much. But CityCast contributor Austin Graff, who also runs a popular Instagram account about exploring DC, says the area is full of vibrant spots that you should be checking out. Today's Wednesday, March 13th. I'm Bridget Todd, and here's what DC is talking about. So Austin, 16th Street Heights is not a neighborhood that people really talk about that much, but that does not mean that it is not a vibrant one. Where exactly is 16th Street Heights?
Good question. So 16th Street Heights is right above Columbia Heights. It's a neighborhood that a lot of people old and new to the city know well, and it's just north of it. It's a pretty long, narrow, and big neighborhood. It does border in part Rock Creek Park. And so there is actually a lot to do if you explore the area.
Why should folks make the trip out there?
Well, one, I think it has really interesting history. It used to be part of an 80-acre nursery. And like many neighborhoods in that area, or really across the whole city, once the streetcar connected them to downtown, people moved in, houses were built. But like many neighborhoods, it had restrictive covenants on a lot of the homes. And so the Black community weren't able to move in until the Supreme Court struck down restrictive covenants in 1948. But that is in the past. Now 16th Street Heights is one of the most diverse neighborhoods in the entire city of DC.
One of the things that I like to check out when I'm down there is the architecture. There's just a lot to see and sort of take in. Are there buildings that really stand out to you in the area?
There really are. It's interesting. There's a lot of different types of houses in all different architecture styles. You have detached homes, you have Victorian architecture. Really, if you want to get a good overview of all the different styles of houses in DC, go to 16th Street Heights and just walk each block and you'll see a very diverse amount of architecture.
I live nearby the area. There is a graffiti museum on 14th. I did not know this. What is that place like? That seems like something that is right up my alley, yet I didn't even know it was there.
Totally. And if people follow me on Instagram, they know I'm obsessed with graffiti art and street art and murals. And one of the most well-known kind of muralists and artists in this city who's done a lot around just street art in DC, but also across the country. He started this with a group of local artists, and it's really just an outdoor art experience. And they do free tours every Sunday at 1. And you can just show up and they'll give you the history of murals in DC and kind of walk you through the art that's in that museum. But then also around it is, if it happens to be closed when you go, not on a Sunday, you can see some art kind of around the museum and go down the alleys and you'll see a lot of different street art.
What are some of your other favorite spots to check out in the area?
Well, I really like, back to the art theme, DC has some well-known art, but they also have some kind of more unique, quirky art. And one of my favorite is in what people call Turtle Park, which is this triangle park where Arkansas Avenue, 13th Street, and Emerson Street Northwest meet. And there's these 3 seemingly concrete statues of people, but they also have this beautiful mosaic on it. And they're just there in the park. And I'm trying to track down the artist. A lot of people don't know, but it's definitely worth a stroll through that small triangle park because it's just such unique art that you just don't see in many places around the city.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I love about DC, but that area in particular is it's art, but it's also quirky art, a very specific kind of community, funky vibe to it that I think just makes DC DC. It's one of those things that feels like home.
I totally agree. And again, like art like that, especially within the Turtle Park, a lot of people in other neighborhoods may not know the art, but a lot of the neighbors in that area do. They'll like instantly know, like, oh yeah, I know that background, I know this art, and it just adds to that community feel of 16th Street Heights.
The brand new Arbor at Tacoma is built for your most convenient urban living. Whether you want to enjoy the vibrant Tacoma, DC community or comfortably retreat into a sleek sanctuary all your own. The kitchens have striking dark navy and white cabinets, and throughout the home, there are wood floors and smart home technology. Some homes even have a private outdoor space. With a quick walk to the metro, you can easily head into downtown or stay close and enjoy the retail that's on site. Located at 218 Cedar Street Northwest, the Arbor Tacoma offers brand new 1- and 2-bedroom condos starting in the upper 300,000s. Visit thearbораttacoma.com for more information. That's Tacoma with a K, so TheArborattacoma.com. What are the best ways to get out there by public transport?
Ooh, that is a very good question. So again, I'm a huge fan of Capital Bike Share. And so, of course, the neighborhood, like many neighborhoods in DC, they have a few docking stations. And so biking is a really good way to get there. But you can also get there from the metro. There's one of the most popular metro stations is Georgia Avenue at Petworth on Stop on the green yellow line. And from there, it's a little bit of a walk, but you get to walk through just a lot of different cool areas. So you can walk from that metro, but I would again suggest biking there or taking the bus is one of the best ways to get there.
For folks who have not spent a lot of time in the 16th Street Heights area, what's the vibe? Is it casual? Is it more, kind of like how if you go for a night out in Georgetown, you have to dress a certain way. You like have a sense of the vibe you might encounter. What's the vibe like in 16th Street Heights?
I would say it is more casual because it's a neighborhood and a lot of the restaurants, like they have great food. So I think the foodies of the city will go to 16th Street Heights to some of these places just to try out the food. But it seems like the restaurants really cater to people in the neighborhood. And so to that, people are more casual. And so go there if you kind of want to see what the real DC is like. Again, it being one of the most diverse areas and neighborhoods in the city. You'll just see people of all different backgrounds, people who are newcomers to the city, as well as people who've been there for generations, who are still within the same house, within the same neighborhood, who go to the same restaurants and the same bodegas and cafes in 16th Street Heights. So it's very, very hyper-local.
So we've got to talk about what everybody's probably thinking, food and drink, my two favorite things in the world. What are some places that folks should check out in the area?
So there's a good blend of kind of old time restaurants who've been there for a while, like Highlands. They're a cafe that opened in 2008, and people rave about their chicken and waffles. So you have establishments like that, and then you have some kind of newcomers that are pretty popular, like Achando, which is a Spanish restaurant. People will go for their sangria and their paella, and that's opened in the last few years. And then you have Zeke's Uptown, which is the newest location from the coffee company Zeke's, which is Baltimore born, but they have shops kind of throughout the city, and their newest one is in this neighborhood, and they called it Zeke's Uptown. And then you have this bodega that's been around for a while called Gold Coast Cafe, which is in this kind of old building, and it really is a neighborhood place where they serve breakfast, lunch, dinner. When I go, I often see different groups of neighbors just chatting over coffee or chatting over a piece of cake that they sell at the bodega. And again, it has this really true community vibe.
So it's a Saturday. You've got the whole afternoon to kill. How is Austin spending his perfect day in 16th Street Heights?
Ooh, that is a good question. So I think I like coffee. So I would start with coffee. And I actually might get 2 cups of coffee there. I would start with Gold Coast Cafe just because I like the vibe. Again, it's very neighborhood. Last time I went, there were a group of women who've been in the neighborhood for generations that were just having a good chat about life. And so I would probably go there just for the vibe. And then I would get my second cup of coffee at Zeke's Uptown, which again...
You're doing 2 cups of coffee in this day?
Yeah, I think I would. I know usually my ideal day usually does involve 2 or 3 cups of coffee throughout the day. And caffeine usually doesn't affect me. So I should be good. And then I would probably have my family with me. So my daughter would be there and she would want to go to a playground. So I would go to Hamilton Recreation Center where there's a great playground. And I do like graffiti. So I would go to the 14th Street Graffiti Museum. It would be closed because it would be a Saturday, but I would enjoy the art in the alley and nearby. And then I would go to Turtle Park as well. And then I would probably walk up 16th Street. I love just to wander and kind of see architecture. And 16th Street, if you start at Shepherd Street heading north toward Military Road, you'll pass a lot of different embassies, a lot of religious institutions, each with their own unique architecture style. So I would just wander for a long time, slowly. I would probably shockingly put down my camera and my phone and just enjoy the architecture. And then I would probably go to Moreland's Tavern, which is, again, very much a neighborhood restaurant. And I love fried green tomatoes and I love crab cakes. And they have two great ones at Moreland's Tavern. So I would have dinner there and then I would have sangria at Shondo.
Austin, that sounds like a perfect Saturday. Thank you for taking us along on that journey.
Thanks for joining me. Everyone is welcome.
That's all for today here on CityCast DC. If you enjoyed the show, subscribe to our newsletter too. We frequently cover these kinds of neighborhood guides there. You can sign up at dc.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with even more news from around the city. Talk to you then.